Hi, family, and welcome to another episode of Car Biz Leaders Live. I have a very special and exciting guest for you today. Jordan Stupar is going to be joining us. We're going to be talking about leadership. We're going to talk about success, trials and tribulations along the way. And I know it's going to be a great show. So thanks so much for watching, and like and subscribe to our page. We always love people who are willing to join and watch, and hopefully we get to learn a lot from each other. So without further ado, I welcome Jordan Stupar. What's up, Jordan? How are you today?
I'm doing great. How about yourself, Rachel?
I'm doing fabulous. It's another Friday, another week down the pike, and I'm so thrilled to have you. I'm kind of starstruck. You're one of my favorite people. I follow you on the Facebook. I stalk your page. Congratulations on the new engagement. And
thank you.
Yeah. And so lots of good things happening. And just tell me a little bit about yourselves, just for anybody that doesn't know you or stalk you like I do.
Yeah, my name is Jordan Stupar, and I am a sales and business and entrepreneur type person. I'm obsessed with growth and really just interested in serving other people and bringing value to other people when it comes to sales, marketing, social media, lead generation, you name it. So those are some of my passions, and that's a little bit in the box of who I am, because that's what I spend all my time doing.
Yeah. And you're good at it.
Well, thank you.
And let me just tell you, there's been so many so much content that you put out lately that I've really kind of connected with. I love this one thing where it's like you can get over anything with creativity. Tell me a little bit about, your journey to where you are now, and sort of some of the things that have kind of like inspired you to go all out like this.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, I never had any real intentions of becoming like a business professional. Most days I'm, pretty dressed up, and that's not really where I came from. Being born and raised here in Wisconsin, my dad was a really great salesperson. Well, still is actually. But I always really wanted to be like the creative person. I always wanted to play music. I was always just doing something using whatever part of the brain it is that's creative, the left or right side, I forget. And so I also realized that playing music and just being a creative wasn't really paying the bills as I started kind of getting older. So I ended up getting into sales, and I got that first hit when I got my first commission, and that was drugs for me. So I've been in sales now for, I don't know, 16 years, 17 years. And I've had a pretty interesting time throughout that sales career, of lots of the ups and downs, lots of success, a lot of failure. And then in 2017, I decided to quit my sales career right at the pinnacle of it, right at the very top, where I was making about $500,000 a year. To go jump off the entrepreneurial cliff and just try to build an airplane before I hit the ground. So that's really where my story begins, from just a professional standpoint. People started really kind of following my story back in from 2014 on. And what I really embrace about my story is that it's not been easy by any means. It's been extremely painful. It's been really hard. But what I really embrace is that social media has given me the platform to just be transparent about those types of things, because I feel like there's so many people out there that are just kind of like scared because bad things are going to happen. And I'll be the first one to tell you bad things are going to happen when you decide to start a business. As you know, it's not easy. No. Even the people that make it look easy, trust me, they are not having as easy of a time as you think. And so that's where I think a lot of people on social media find value in my content is, I talk about some business tips and sales, but at the end of the day, I'm really transparent with my losses and hard times. And that thing that you said that you liked about overcoming adversity with creativity, you have to be creative and learn how to pivot in life. And so I think that's maybe a part of the message that helped resonate with you a bit.
Well, here's the thing. and this is why I'm so happy to have you on my show. I feel like you and I are on a parallel path, right? We both were at the top of our game. We both were really successful at our last companies, and we decided to sort of jump off the cliff into the entrepreneurial thing. And you know, and it hasn't been easy. And I've had a lot of failures, and I've had my own roller coasters of stuff and money and this and you name it. It's happened to me. I make a quarter of what I made as a salesperson, as an entrepreneur. I hope that's not permanent. But you think like that, hey, we're going to do this and I'm going to be my own boss. And then you do it and you're like, oh shit, what did I just do? And so overcoming that. And then you think, this is just happening to me, and does everybody go through this, or you take things really personal when really it's just business? So what are some of the things that you thought happened to you that you didn't think were ever going to happen, or that you didn't foresee coming your way?
Well, when I first started, I started my first business, and the very first thing I realized is that I understand how to sell. I know how to market things. I know how to communicate, and I know how to do those things. But I had no idea, like just setting up the business. Like when I came to the realization that I needed a website, I was like, and then, you need video content, and I could have paid somebody to do it, but I kind of felt like, I got a little bit more time. I'm, just kind of starting off. So I guess I'll learn how to make video. And then you realize how hard and challenging that is to work on and how time consuming it is. And then you got to figure out how to make a landing page. And then you got to figure out how to get paid. Like if somebody does swipe up and they actually want to buy something, how do I set up a payment gateway? How do I link that to my bank? And then just that was the first part of the stressful situation is,
right.
You leave your job and you're like, okay, I'm used to making $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a month. Right. And now I don't know where my next 10 cents is going to come from. Right. So I got to figure that out. So that was a slap in the face. Number one is just kind of that realization. 2 weeks into becoming an entrepreneur, I got sued. And yes. I mean, that's something that nobody thinks is going to happen to them, even though
right.
There's a really good chance in America that you're going to get sued. Your chances are 33%. Right. So I got sued. It cost me my entire business for a little while temporarily. It cost me, I don't know, $250,000.
Jeez, yeah, that's insanity. And I do want to talk on this topic too, because I think a lot of people out there, I make my team sign a non-compete, and I think, and there's a lot of things to do that. I understand it now being on both sides of the business. And I think I've had non-competes where I've broke them and been sued. I have non-competes where I've had to sue. And I think this is a really big topic that being on both sides of the business, that I think a lot of people would be interested in having a discussion about. So tell me a little bit about what you learned from that, besides that it was costly and that it's going to happen. Like, what were some of the lessons that you took away from that?
Well, the biggest lesson I think that I learned from it, just from a personal standpoint, was that regardless of who's right or wrong in that instance, you have to be willing to roll with the punches, regardless. There could be, if not for a lawsuit, there could be other things that could cost equal amount of time or money in my life. And so I'm aware of that. And I'm also, I think that lesson that I just mentioned of being able to roll with the punches is you're going to get punched. You're going to get slapped in the face, get your teeth kicked in by, somebody sooner or later. Right. And you have to be able to do that. And then also, I think one of the things I really learned how to do is be able to pivot, where you're kind of in the same place, but you're taking a different stance. It's kind of that basketball thing where you're able to pivot in a different direction. And so I had to learn how to pivot, because when I started that business, before it was temporarily shut down from that non-compete standpoint, my business got like shut down. It was like frozen. So it's like, okay, I figured out how to make a bunch of money rather than the 10 cents I was just talking about. I turned that business into a $250,000 business in 4 months. So it was just like, going like that. And then what do you do when that gets taken away? Well, you have to pivot again. And then I had to pivot again from there. And so, yeah, I mean, it's just like that would probably be the biggest lesson for me, is that you have to pivot. And that's where the whole creativity comes from. When you're facing adversity, you have to be creative in where you're going to move yourself and your business next.
And I think that now, being on both sides of the story, and some of the things that I've taken away from it is that, one, like sometimes it's better not to hide things, like that,
Right.
or go ask. Like, I know a lot of people, and especially my business, it's all about relationships. Hey, Randy. Hey, Jose. Hey, James. Like, all these people watching, like, we've been in this situation before. But there's times when it's like, I've had more success just asking somebody, hey, like, this relationship is over. What do you think about this? Than sort of going back. So I feel like there's a right way and a wrong way to handle non-competes now. And I only learned that from my own experience. And I also see the benefits now, being a business owner too, of why you have them, right? People leave, and not to say that you ever trash anybody's name, but like, there's situations where it is harmful to the other business. So I think there's a nice way to play. So if you had an agreement saying, hey, I'm going to go over here now, and we're going to play this really respectfully. And, and I promise not to do this and not to harm your business. I think that there's a much better outcome than going behind, but you're scared. And that's what I did the first time that I ever got into a like that.
Yeah, I think being on both ends, I've not sued anybody for non-compete. I don't know if I ever will. But my last company that I founded and then I just recently sold, I never had anybody sign a non-compete, because I come from the mentality that if you can do it better than me, then you do it.
Right.
I understand that in a lot of businesses, for sure, there are things like trade secrets and like just real stuff. And I absolutely wholeheartedly believe that the business is totally entitled to defending themselves in those situations with employees or key people that decide to leave, of course. But from the standpoint of work ethic, from the standpoint of sales and cold calling and communication, look, I that's where I got sued. And so I come from the standpoint that if I can do something better than you, then I think I should just beat you in the marketplace. I shouldn't have to put my money up against yours in a courtroom where nobody really matters.
Right.
And so I think business owners, I hear a lot about lawsuits, obviously, because I've had one, a lot of non-compete issues. And of course, there are applications where a non-compete lawsuit against an employee is perfectly fine and like totally justifiable. But in most cases, I don't think I'll ever have anybody ever sign a non-compete, because look, if you can come in under me, you can spend some time learning some things, and you can actually do it better than I can, then by all means, go and beat me in the marketplace. I think the marketplace should be the place where battles are fought.
Listen, I think there is, I safeguard myself because I know that there's haters out there. Everybody has their own set of haters.
I love haters.
I love haters too. Don't get me wrong. But I also don't, I think a lot of people worry about like their perception and things like that. And so I don't ever, it's expensive to sue somebody, to be honest with you. It's very expensive. So I put mine in place just as a safeguard, like, hey, you do you, I do me. You can go ahead and beat me. They all come back eventually. But if you do cross that line, I'm going to make sure that, I uphold the agreement. And I just do that as a safeguard to protect myself, unfortunately.
And you're entitled to that 100%. And so, yeah, I think that's an interesting conversation. I don't know your business, obviously like you do. So I don't know what type of real proprietary information or trade secrets or whatever you might have. But I think in at least most of the applications I've seen, at least from a sales standpoint, I don't see why there would be any reason to have anybody sign anything.
Right. Well, and to each his own, but I want to have this conversation with you. what are some of the things that you do to sort of protect yourself? Like I'm all about other people's success. I really am. Like
Yeah.
I want people to be successful. I'm not trying to prevent them from working or for anything like that. I just want you to be successful doing you, not taking from me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you've done to sort of, differentiate or make yourself like a little bit like protect yourself without having that sort of agreement in place? I'm interested.
Good question. So I think that a lot of it boils down to my branding. I in each of the businesses that I start, I use whatever my personality brand is, the whole Jordan Stupar thing, and I will use interested parties or interested people that are interested in the new business that I'm trying to promote, and I'll just kind of co-brand that and become the face of that business. So if you're interested in Jordan Stupar, you're a fan of Jordan Stupar, you like Jordan Stupar, whatever. You probably are going to be interested in the thing that I'm building or creating. And so from the standpoint of other employees or people that might be working for me, again, I protect myself pretty much by creating that business and becoming the real authority, and really putting my flag in the ground saying that there's nobody else that's going to work harder. There's nobody else that's going to do more than I do about this. And again, I think having the mentality and displaying it publicly in front of my people of the whole, if you can do it better, then you do it. It's not easy. Yeah. And I think I do a great job internally in my business of teaching other people how to do well, but at the exact same time, showing how hard it is. Like, go start a CRM company. I dare you, and go sell it on top of that. Like, if you can do it better than me, then you do it. And so I feel like people see me with any, audience that I have, any talent that I have, skills that I have, whatever. I think they look at that and they're like, yeah, if he's having a hard time, then I'm screwed. And so I'm really transparent with all that stuff because I don't think anybody really wants to truly go through most of the pain and a lot of the battles that I've chosen to go through myself.
What is, I know what got me through my hard times, which is like trusting God and then showing up no matter what, like no matter what the situation was. I was like, wanted to throw in the towel. I hated everybody around me. This was like, if this is my destiny, then I'm just going to show up and see what happens and all work out. What are some of the things that got you through some of those tough times for people out there?
I mean, initially, man, there's actually been there was like 15 things that just popped into my head right there.
Like 3. This is important. We need this.
3 big things. One would be I've had some type of internal just knowingness. Maybe call it God, maybe just constantly nudging me or something. But I've always had this mentality, even in the darkest of times, that it's like, this isn't going to last forever, dude. Like, just like wake up, get out of bed, go do your thing. If today sucks, today sucks. And the whole next year sucks, then the whole next year sucks. Just get through it, do your thing. And like you said, show up. And so that was one thing that's just kind of always been there in the back of my head. That's like, dude, it's not going to be forever. Just have a good attitude and do that. The second thing that's helped me a lot is going out of my way to help other people just for free.
I love that. Amazing.
On my worst days, those are the days where I will actively look to find just even a door to open for somebody else, or jump on a call with a 19-year-old that's like, hey man, I'm thinking about dropping out of college and getting into marketing. I'm like, you don't know anything. You're too young. And I have really no interest in like really helping you, but I have interest in giving. And so I do that. And then after that's done, I feel a lot better because not only does it validate that I know what I'm talking about, but you can also see like the excitement in other people's faces or their eyes or like whatever that, dude, I just learned something, Right. And so that was really helpful. And then the third, like you mentioned, is God. I've tried to ignore him for a really long time.
Yeah.
I did. I really, really thought that the success that I had experienced was 100% on me. And then when the success kind of vanished for a little while, obviously you don't want to take responsibility for that. You want to give that to somebody else. You're like, God, why would you do this to me? And so coming to the realization that the success and failures in my life are my responsibility, but also designed. And I couldn't be more thankful for the struggles and the pain and adversity that I've had to overcome, because it's absolutely shifted the way that I view the world, and it's absolutely adjusted my perspective in life from being way up here versus everyone else because I was making some money and driving a nice car or whatever, to look, it's an even playing ground. There's nothing that I can accomplish in my life that somebody else can't. And so, it's just really leveled the playing field for me. And I don't feel like I'm as much of an asshole anymore, even though I am kind of an asshole.
That's okay. Women love assholes. I'm sorry, ladies. It's true. Let me just say, I know I do. I just, it's like challenge accepted. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about was like some of that mindset stuff, because I know that that's really important for me. And especially like all this like fear of the coronavirus and all this crazy shit happening, how do you set your mind right to kind of deal with this? Everybody's going ballistic. I mean, buying hand sanitizer and selling on eBay for $150, like this is just going crazy. But I really believe that it all starts in our mind, and there's a lot of propaganda around this fear and we're going to die of coronavirus. Like, how do you exit all that out, and where do you put your mind from there?
So first off, it doesn't hurt to live in Wisconsin. There's just like, there's like outside of a snowstorm here, there's really nothing bad that could ever happen. So, like I don't really let too much of that affect me. And, when I was traveling down to Mexico, there was a bunch of people on the plane and in the Cancun airport with like the face masks on. And I don't know. I just, maybe I'm ridiculously naive, but I do have a real belief that it's like, dude, it's not your time. Like sometimes, if you're on an airplane, like I'm flying a lot all the time, and I've been on some bad flights where it gets pretty bumpy. And that's where I'm just like, dude, you know what? Like it cannot be my time yet. Like it can't be. If it is, this is as good of enough time as ever, just like, let's go. But I hear all these things, and I try to just push it out, because it's like, I don't know. I'd rather be listening to something else. I don't listen to TV. I don't listen to the radio. I'm working a lot and I'm productive, and I believe that just kind of keeps me on track, and also kind of is my immunity to just shit that's out there. Like I could care less about the coronavirus. And also, by the way, there's like 100,000.
I'm not going to die from it, but what I'm seeing is this crazy, like how people are reacting to it. And that's what I think is my biggest concern, is this mass of people who are flipped out on a mega scale, and like how that's going to affect our business. Now, listen, will the virus affect me? No. Am I worried about it? No. Am I going to die today? No. But what I'm concerned about most is like, how is it going to affect our economy? How is it going to affect, how hard I have to work or you have to work to get the same amount of business? What does that look like in terms of like how we conduct our business, right? Are we not going to be able to travel? Those are like the major concerns that I'm having. And I just wanted to know how you kind of, feel about that, or how you prepare for something like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, a couple of points here is point number one is I take the perspective that, okay, there's 100,000 coronavirus cases or something like that in the world. The world. It seems like a massive number, like, oh my God, 100,000 people. But literally, I don't even know what the percentage is because I'm not good at math in my
Like
head.
it's like 0.007 because there's like 7 billion people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, dude, your chances of getting cancer are like 50 times, like way more.
I know. But the thing is that it's just like the people are acting so insane
because it's new. Yeah, they're just like, oh my god.
That there's no other news out there. I don't know about you, but
right. We're a culture and a world that just is fascinated with vanity. So it's like, yeah, cancer's been around for a while. Oh, I just got cancer. Like, I almost expected that because everybody gets cancer and I hear about it all the time. And then, it's like, oh wow, there's this thing called the coronavirus, and it's like, killing people or what. I don't even know what it does. But people get fascinated with those things, and then vanity ends up spreading. And so, and I don't think the news helps or whatever, but how do I prepare for something that could potentially do some harm to our economy or stop us from traveling? Look, I don't really care. We're due for something in the economy as far as a recession is concerned anyway. So whether it's this or the next thing or whatever, we're due for something sooner or later where, we tank a little bit, and just like normal, everything will be fine. And that's just the kind of perspective that I take, is that I don't believe that, there's any president that is going to like, oh my God, dude, like affect me big time. I don't believe that there's any type of legislation or anything that can really limit, what we're capable of. And so preparing for possibly a recession, preparing for maybe a travel ban or whatever they would want to call it, like none of those things really scare me. If I have an internet connection and a place to lay my head at night, I'm pretty happy, man.
Right. I think one of the things that I have been taking into consideration is like, now's the time. Like now's the time. I use it as a motivation, really, for me. It's like, okay, well, everybody else is backing out. I'm going to go in, right?
Oh, yeah.
I have this theory of mine. It's called Against the Crowd. I have a great Disney story about this, by the way.
Love it.
So one of my life mottos is go against the crowd. So when everybody's going left, you go right. When the line is really long, skip it, right? And so when my son and I were at Disneyland, and it started to rain, and like all of the parents were like leaving with their kids, and I was like, let's go.
You had the best time ever.
We were waiting all day with the sunshine for like 2 hours. We got on every single ride right away. I mean, listen, I was soaked. I was like a wet dog. My kid was like spent, but like we did it. We had the experience, and that I wouldn't have had that if I would have just went along with everybody else. So I really believe that that's true. What are some of the mottos, like the life lessons that you kind of take with you, just to help us out? That's one of mine, like go against the crowd, but give me a couple of yours, Jordan.
Yeah. So I love the go against the crowd. I've always felt that way, like literally my whole life. Like I always look at the market or what other people are doing, and I try to do my best to go in the opposite direction. But a couple of little mottos or reminders for me, probably the one that just stays in the back of my head is don't get weak. I have it on a wristband on my wrist. So that's something that really encompasses everything. Like, just if you're in a relationship and you get tempted to do something, don't get weak. If you're in business and you're feeling tired at 4:30 in the afternoon on a Friday and you feel like you deserve a happy hour, stay at the office, don't get weak, so on and so forth. And so that's one of the things that I've adopted a mentality on, and I think most certainly has helped me push through some of the mentally demanding scenarios or circumstances in my life. And then, I think just from there, it's just, how something that used to be just for the phones is anytime I see something I want, car, house, whatever, I just ask myself how many calls, right? And maybe it's not a phone call per se. Maybe it's an email or whatever, but it's how many calls.
It's the energy that takes.
Exactly. And I can tell you for sure that it's a lot. Like I literally did the math. When I purchased my Porsche 911, it was $126,000.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally did the math at my last office to kind of figure out, like, more or less how many phone calls did I make total over those 4 years, and it turns out it was about 140,000. So it's almost like for every dollar you want, if you want a $600 million yacht, like, you better be on the phone. You better be making connections, because that's where you're going to find the people that are going to give it to you. So why not pick up the damn phone? Why not shoot out an email? Why not tweet at somebody? Just get in front of people. I'm a nobody from Wisconsin that should never have had a chance to collect the audience that I have on social media. There's no chance that a college dropout with no real other skills in life other than knowing how to play the guitar should be able to make $1 million in 2 years. But work ethic and just getting on the phone and connecting with people can put you in that position to be that person. And so I think that's one of my favorite things in the back of my head is just how many calls. I go house shopping, car shopping, looking at vacations or whatever. It's like, dude, okay, I know that if I'm going to spend $3,000 on something, I should probably make a couple thousand phone calls.
Right.
And so, yeah, those are some of my my little mentality memos.
Well, I appreciate that. Jordan, how do people get a hold of you? Tell them what you do a little bit before we wrap up. Happy Friday, but how do people get in touch with you? I know that there's a lot of people out there that are dying to get to know you a little bit more. So what's the best way to reach you?
Best way to reach me is on social media, honestly. You can always hit me at jordan@leadrevenue.com. That's the company that I've co-founded, co-own, and I'm the chief marketing officer for. That's what we do. We generate leads. We do social media marketing and management for companies and anything to help a company grow. And then, find me anywhere on social media, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Snapchat, at Jordan Stupar. It's pretty simple, and I'm extremely responsive and very accessible on those platforms. So,
well, with your type of work ethic, I totally agree with that. I've always appreciated your positive attitude, and you've always just been somebody that I've felt a really close connection to. So I am so grateful for your time today. Thank you so much. Thanks everybody for watching. Jordan Stupar, everybody. Thank you, and have a great Friday. Talk to you guys.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you. Bye-bye.